Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. General Hospital sees Drew Cain Quartermain, Cameron Matheson, furious now that he knows Curtis Ashford Donnell Turner was the one who told Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen, about his fling with Nina Reeves, Cynthia Rose, that blew up the wedding. But Drew is not going to fly off the handle and lash out right now. Nope. He is going to serve ice-cold revenge on Curtis when the time is right and get the ultimate payback. We're going to talk about just how Drew is going to target Curtis both professionally and personally, and possibly taking out friends and family along the way as collateral damage. General Hospital, Drew's sneaky move. So, after Elizabeth Weber, Rebecca Herbst, accidentally revealed to Drew that it was Curtis who blabbed, we saw a Congressman Cutthroat making a very sneaky move. So Drew approached Curtis over at the Metro Court and said he wanted to call a truce. Drew offered and Curtis agreed, and he told the Congressman that he won't be the one to break the truce. Then Drew went back over to his lawyer, Martin Gray, Michael E. Knight, and said that none of that was real. The truce with Curtis. Instead, Drew Cain said he was playing a long game. How Drew plans his long game revenge against Curtis. So let's talk about that long game. It started with his lawyer. Martin said even though Drew doesn't like Curtis, his Aunt Stella Henry, Vernee Watson, is an angel. And then Martin told Drew about Stella helping him with his insurance problem. If you remember, Martin hurt his back at the whole ketamine Tracy Quartermain, Jane Elliott, press conference, and Martin wound up blaming Tracy. But bottom line, his back was really hurt and Stella finagled the insurance papers so that his back pain wouldn't be treated as a pre-existing condition. And if you recall, Martin is pretty broke because of back alimony to all his ex-wives. So, he couldn't afford to pay out of pocket. But when he thanked Stella at General Hospital, she kind of told Martin, "Keep your voice down, 'cause we could both get in trouble." So Martin told Drew about all that, and how Stella helped him. And you could see that Drew got a look on his face. His wheels were turning because Martin just gave Drew Cain some ammunition to use against Curtis. He can report Stella, or have someone else do it for insurance fraud, and that would really hurt Curtis. So, that's one way to strike. Drew's potential legal moves. Targeting Portia and evidence tampering. Second, I think Drew may consider turning Portia Robinson, Brooke Kerr, over to the cops. She tampered with Heather Weber's, Allie Mills, test results. That right there is enough to yank Portia's medical license and send her to prison for evidence tampering. The ketamine case is a little more problematic for Drew to prove at this point against Portia because Drew already framed Tracy for that. But that kind of got messed up at the press conference, and Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, claimed the ketamine was his. But that doesn't necessarily mean that was the ketamine that Drew was given. So he could still pull this out. He could go after Portia for that in another way. Drew could bring back Brad Cooper, Perry Shin, to testify that Portia was blackmailing him after he found out she altered Heather's test. And back and forth. And then she made him steal the ketamine. Since Drew found Jacinda, Paige Herschel, and paid her off to keep her away from Curtis Ashford, Donnell Turner, that means that he can probably find Jacinda again. And Drew could bribe her. If he paid Jacinda the prostitute enough, she might come back to Port Charles and say that Portia gave her the ketamine, and that Nina gave her the cash, and it was all a big setup to ruin Drew because honestly, that's the truth of the matter. So he could pay Jacinda to simply tell the truth. And if Drew targets Portia, that would also devastate Curtis. Sabotaging Aurora Media. Drew's strategy to undermine Curtis professionally. So another part of Drew Revenge Served Cold plan could be him targeting Curtis and the company he runs, Aurora Media. And that way the attacks are both personal and professional. You know, Drew originally founded Aurora Media with Sam McCall, Kelly Monaco. He knows it inside out. If I recall, they bought it from Julian Jerome, William DeVry, and then turned it into Aurora Media. There was a backstory to it, but it was Drew and Sam's company. So, Drew may be able to sabotage the company and make problems for Curtis, undermining him as CEO, even though Curtis does have a multi-year contract. Being in Congress, you know, Drew Cain can do a lot of shady stuff behind the scenes that could impact Curtis' business. And of course, Drew is still making money from Aurora, but he's also got ELQ stock. And even if Aurora went under, you know, Curtis might be financially crushed, but Drew would probably come out of it just fine. I doubt it would get that far, but still, yeah, he may target Curtis as CEO of Aurora. The impact of Drew's revenge on Michael and family dynamics. And speaking of Drew targeting Curtis professionally and personally, that also makes Michael a top target because Curtis and Michael are allies and they're friends. And if Drew is attacking Aurora, then Curtis might bring Michael back in to help defend the company, since he's involved in it as well. But that might just make things easier for Drew, who already wants to take Michael down so Willow can get her kids back. If Drew can get Willow's kids away from Michael and back in her hands, there's a chance Drew might be able to actually win back Willow. So, Drew may find a way to carry out his original plan to frame Michael as an opioid addict. So, he loses custody of the kids. And that would also put a taint on Aurora, since Michael is involved there. That would also mean that when Drew is coming at Curtis if he's attacking Aurora, then Michael might not be available to help with that. And if Drew can set up Portia to say that she's somehow covering for Michael, then this could be a really effective scheme to topple several people at once. Drew's personal attacks, using Trina and Kai to inflict emotional damage on Curtis. And finally, you hate to think about this, but Drew might also target Trina Robinson, Tabiana Ali, to hurt her dad, Curtis. Since her ex-boyfriend Kai Taylor, Jens Austin Astrup, is close to Drew working as an intern, you know, Kai might be the perfect person to use to slap at Trina for revenge. Drew might set up Kai with some new girl, some hottie to make Trina jealous. It could be somebody from the political arena or a famous model. Obviously, as a politician, Drew has got contacts. Even though Kai misses Trina, you know, Drew might be able to convince him that going out with a new girl could make Trina jealous and bring her back around. General Hospital, Drew convinces Kai? So Drew might be able to convince Kai to go for it. And seeing her ex-boyfriend out with a beautiful young woman might upset Trina. Anything that upsets her will obviously upset Curtis and Portia. And we know Drew wants to rip apart Curtis' life, since he feels like that's what Curtis did to Drew. So, we know that Drew had no problem saying awful things where Wiley Corinthos, Byron Weaver, could hear to upset the kid and make Michael look bad. So yeah, Drew has got no problem using kids to make his point. He used a little kid.so, a young woman like Trina. She better watch her back, because Drew might put a knife in it aiming for her dad. And if he gets the chance, he might even target Curtis' father, Marshall Ashford, Robert Gossett, next time he's back in Port Charles. We'll see how it plays out. But you know that quote? Revenge is a dish best served cold. And that's what Drew wants to do. Serve icy cold payback on Curtis. I don't know about you guys, I'm definitely not Team Drew on this. I am Team Curtis all the way.